Hello and welcome back to the Demis Hellen channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at creating a trance pluck using Surge. And if you haven't got Surge, it's a free download and it is probably way more capable than Vital. I say probably, it is way more capable than Vital, and it is still on the spectrum of free. So if you want to follow along, you can download Surge in the link in the description, no affiliation whatsoever, and you can follow along and get this preset for free. So here we are in the project that we're going to be using. The pluck is over here that we're going to be recreating. It's going to be the same pluck as over here, but instead of having Vital and June 3, I'm going to have Surge and June 3 for this example. So let's have a listen to what we've got already, and then we'll get to creating something new. So you can hear we've created quite the soundscape there just using a few layers, but we're focusing on the pluck here at the top, which is this one. So I'm not trying to recreate this exactly in Surge, but we're going to create something in the same style. So to get started on this sound design, I am going to add 3 voices on to this. We're going to use 3 oscillators for this as well. And I'm going to bring this down to about 6% or 6 cents. And then I'm just going to increase width number 1, which is just going to sort of help with any phasing issues or reduce them in a sense, because you're just kind of stretching it out. Okay, and just to let you know, if you don't want to use the static oscillator there, that static saw wave, and you want something a little bit more unique or your own wavetable, you can choose wavetables, modern saws, there's all different options there, but we're just sticking to this because it's easy and everybody has access to this as soon as you download it. So we've got that one in place. I'm going to activate oscillators 2 and 3 here in the mixer, and on number 2, I am going to put 4 voices. And I'm going to reduce this to about 7 or 8, so maybe somewhere between 7 and 8. And what this is going to do, I'm just going to increase the width a little bit as well, is we're going to set this 1 octave higher, and then that way we're getting a little bit of depth into that pluck sound. And then the third oscillator is going to be 1 voice only, so we're going to leave it as it is, but we're going to set this 2 octaves. So oscillator 1 is on the default 0. Oscillator 2 is on +1 and oscillator 3 on +2. So we've got 3 stages across the oscillators. So let's have a listen to that, how it stands. So a little bit too intense. So I'm going to bring down these levels and I'm going to mix them in. So we want something like that. Do it to taste how you want it to be, but that is starting to sound quite nice. So the thing that I'm going to do before setting up any of the filters is the amp envelope, and we want this to be a pluck, so the sustain down. I'm looking for something that's quite plucky, has a sharp transient, but falls off pretty quickly, and you can see that shape is giving us that sound. I'm leaving this on digital, and I'm not playing around with the slope settings. You can have different ones. So you can have it sharper, you can have it medium, or you can have it sort of really relaxed. So we're just going to keep it on that medium setting. Then for the filter, I like to use the analog setting. So we're going to switch it to analog, leave it as it is for now, and head to the filters. So moving to the filter, I'm going to choose a low pass 12, experiment with some of the other ones if you want. You can get some interesting textures using different ones, but we're going to use a 12. Bring it to where you can't hear it, and then I'm going to shape this filter envelope here. So I'm actually going to bring the sustain down and then the filter envelope mix up. You can hear the digital is a lot softer. Even if we sharpen that up, I just like the sound of the analog a lot better. And I'm just bringing a little bit of key tracking up there for filter 1, just to sort of randomize it a little bit, give it a little bit more of a human feel. So with that set up, we have a couple of options. As you can see, we have a number 1 next to filter 1. If we just right click this, we can see a standard, driven and clean setting. So I'm going to go for the clean setting because it just gives it a little bit more of a nicer texture, but you can choose whichever one you want. So I want that sort of darker feeling to this particular pluck, but if you want something brighter, I'd probably leave it on standard, but clean is what I'm looking for here. And if you want that more classic sound to your pluck, you can increase that resonance as well. I'm going for a cleaner setting. And then I'm going to use filter 2 to roll off some of the lows using a high pass. I'm going to put it to about 100 Hertz, that sounds okay, and we've got the filters set up. So with the filters now set up, you can choose anything extra here if you want to change the way that they work on the other ones as well. I'm not too bothered about the high pass. You can do, and we've also got some other options here where you can sort of link the resonance to there, so if whatever that's set at, it will affect the second filter, and there's all other little bits and bobs. But that's all we need to do for that one, and we've got the basic setup. So we need to add a little bit of wobble, vibrato, pitch modulation sort of thing. And we're going to use an LFO, really standard stuff. I'm going to set this to free run, and we're going to leave it on bipolar. If you set that, it's going to be unipolar, but automatically it is bipolar. The way this works is if we click LFO 1, you can see everything lights up green, and we can modulate what we want to. So you can see we're on oscillator number 3. So let's start with 1, and I'm going to bring these up just a little bit to give it a little bit of modulation. And then we click off so we don't affect anything else with that modulation. And I'm going to attach the mod wheel to the filter cutoff so we can sort of preview on the fly with the mod wheel on your keyboard then, with the filter open and closed, and you'll hear that sort of pitch modulation a lot better. So I'm just going to keep it playing, turn the mod wheel fully up on your keyboard, and you can hear exactly where it's set. And if we just bypass these, you'll hear the difference. And then really all you need to do is add some effects. So the 3 effects that I've added on here are chorus, and I used, I think, deep. With around a 10% mix. The lows are sort of rolled out a little bit, but just do that to taste, but it's very subtle how this is working. Just going to bring the rate down a little bit. And that's all sounding good. And then we go for some delay, and I'm just going to use the built-in one again. So delay, let's use ping pong 1/8. Around a 25% mix. And then before I do anything else, I'm going to set the 2 delay times to sort of opposite. So one is going to be 1/8 and the other one is going to be 1/4, but they're going to be in dotted. So 1/4 on the left is fine. And then we want 1/8 dotted on the right. I'm going to bring the feedback up. And then I'm just adjusting that EQ. So if you want less lows in your delay, just move that up and it'll sort of focus all the delays higher up so you don't get any issues in the low end. But as long as it's around that 100 Hertz mark, you're not getting anything sort of conflicting with the sub. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of gain. I forgot where that is. There it is. So I'm just going to bring up the amp on this a little bit on the decay. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of noise on the top of this, and then we'll add some reverb to finish this off, and we are done. So I'm going to click on the mute button to turn on the noise. So we're going to get some noise on the top of that now. Going to bounce it into about halfway. So all I've done is balance the noise gain and then the noise color. So really see it as like a low and a high pass filter on your noise. So then we can go to reverb. So effects number 3, I think reverb 2. I cannot remember what I used on the original design that I made, but let's just pick deep ambience. It was something deep. So I'm just going to bring the decay time up closer to 4 seconds. A bit of a bigger room size, I think, is going to suit this better. So there we have it. That is how I'm going to build that pluck. Let's just slot this into the track. So I'm going to close this for now. Let's bring over Centurion from my June 3 pack on the website. If you want a copy of that, you can see that on screen. That's the wrong side. I always get it wrong. It's on that side of the screen, and you can get that if you need it. Okay, so it's a little bit loud. So I'm just going to bring that gain back down. And then I'm just going to stick on my EQ and compression. So I think I'm going to add a little bit, just to tweak this, just a little bit more release. So increase the release, but then increase that decay. Just to give it a little bit more body during that sort of filter opening. So let's add these bits in. doing there is just trying to slot it into the mix and just make sure that we can sort of hear each individual part, but still hear it as one block of sound. And that works pretty nicely. I've just turned up that oscillator drift there just to sort of move it around and just give it that more natural feeling from like the analog realm. It's a really nice touch. So if you want that preset, you can get that on Patreon. And if you want to hear more of this track, I may be using this for more tutorials, but at the moment this is an actual track build. So let's just quickly save this on camera so you know what it's called when you're looking for this. You'll see the video anyway. We'll call this Trance Pluck 01. If we can find the 0, mic is in the way, and it's definitely not made by the Surge team. So let's put Demis Hellen in there, and we'll call this free. So there we have it. We have a completed professional sounding Trance Pluck that fits really nice into the mix using another free synth, Surge. Been around a lot longer than Vital, and it is definitely worth the download, especially when it's free. You might as well have it in your arsenal. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, ask away in the comments. And if you did enjoy the video, you know exactly what to do to see more of those videos too. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.